Today, at the state level, we continue to use these strategies in tandem with information technologies. For public safety, emerging, in some cases emerged technologies have helped us with the continual driving down of violent crime. Over the last 3 years, we've achieved the steepest reduction in homicides that we've seen since the 70s. And as I mentioned before, violent crime is down to its lowest level since 1975. One of the worst things that you can do with intelligence, they say in the military arena, one of the worst things you can do with intelligence is to sit on it. And yet that's what our state was doing with all sorts of valuable intelligence we had in various siloed, disparate databases that never made their way to local law enforcement to help them clear cases, solve crimes, and serve warrants on the baddest of the bad guys to make sure they went to jail before they could murder another person. To give you one of the many examples of the tools that we're using, we've created what we call a public safety dashboard, which is a central database which integrates data from our prison system, parole, probation, firearm registries, our fingerprint system, mugshots, DNA, motor vehicle records, taxation records, other sources like where people are buying ammunition, and when they registered that they're buying ammunition, that they can pop up in that database because they're on probation or parole for a handgun violation and they're not supposed to be able to own a handgun. Putting all of this together, making those connections. Any of you that have worked with law enforcement, while they're courageous people who go where many of us would fear to tread, they're a pretty cynical bunch too. But get this, more than 100 agencies, we make the information now available in real time to law enforcement officers in more than 100 agencies, and we're now receiving between 25,000 and 40,000 hits each day on that public safety dashboard. For healthcare, we're working to advance healthcare and health IT, building what we believe will be the nation's first comprehensive sustainable health information exchange, linking together all the physicians, hospitals, medical laboratories, and pharmacies in our state. And we were able to effectuate during the last H1N1 outbreak, we were able to use our statewide biosurveillance system called Essence, which actually works and has all 46 acute care hospitals in it, as well as a lot of other data streams. For the public health and the environmental health priority of saving the Chesapeake Bay and turning around her health, we're using smart maps, much as we did in ComStat, to guide our efforts in keeping nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment from poisoning the bay and degrading its health. This program we call Baystat. It is an initiative that has been embraced by the Obama administration, and Lisa Jackson has pledged that EPA will be using Maryland's Baystat approach to cover all 6 of the states within the watershed of the Chesapeake Bay to drive and monitor the improvement of its waters. To advance smart growth and protect our open space, we have created the nation's first green print, which is the statewide, which is an objective ranking and mapping of every parcel and plot of land in our state, assigning each parcel and plot an ecological score that allows us to not only rank our purchases of green space in terms of which ones are best, but it also allows the public to go online to see for themselves in my county, in my neighborhood, where are those minimum amount of green liver, green kidneys, green lungs, if you will, that this body needs in order to operate in a healthy fashion. We're using smart maps to target and track the federal dollars we've invested through the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and to hold our efforts open and accountable through our recovery website. I'm very proud of not only of the national recognition that has received, but also glad to be able to tell our public where those recovery dollars are going. Glad to be able to display it. They can display it on their own computer at home and see, that's a project from recovery. This water, wastewater improvement, this project. We're now applying that finally when we were interviewed by Computer World, I think they said, why don't you do this with your own capital investments with your state dollars? We said, well, we don't know. We could have, I guess, said, well, we tried that and it didn't work, but we didn't say that. We said, you know what, we should. So now this year, for the first time, our entire capital budget, we've applied in the same way, mapping it, putting it on so the public can see where we're investing in school construction, community colleges, roads, bridges, and the like. Let me conclude with these last couple thoughts. Thomas Aquinas once wrote that any seeker of a higher truth or of God must inevitably and eventually return to the idea of community. During my years as mayor, we would often bring people up to our city stat room, with the big boards and the projectors, where command staff would sit on one side of the table and the departmental command staff would sit on the other. And we bring community leaders up to this room and start showing them what their government, what their city government is able to see, and therefore what we're able to do and where we're able to go. And we would put up maps, and the neighborhood association presidents would be there and put up the aerial photography and the charts and the graphs and the maps, and invariably, whether the group was, whether the people were from wealthier neighborhoods or poorer neighborhoods or black or white, without fail, within a couple of minutes, somebody at the back of the room would raise their hand and ask the question, "Mayor, can you show me my house? Can you show me my house?" Why is that? Is it to know that I matter to my government? Is it to know that I matter and have value to my neighbors? Is it to know that my government works and therefore matters to me? Is it to understand what's around me? Maybe it's because of a deep, innate human instinct to better understand my individual connection to the forces around me, to the places around me, to the neighbors around me, and their connection to me. Show me my house. If politics is the geography of social progress, then perhaps through our own individual actions and relationships, and yes, aided by technology, we can become the dynamic coordinates of a new type of geography, a newer, deeper understanding of our actions in time and space and continuum and community and our connection to one another and that march of progress we have the freedom to make together. I believe that we are at one of the most exciting times in human history, and I believe in our country it's an exciting time to be in government at a time when people are yearning for connection and a better understanding of their connections. All of you have the ability to transform our government into a really dynamic platform, Government 2.0, a way for people to come together as individuals, but to make collective progress. And the technology that is at your disposal to do this is something that no other generation of representative democracy has ever had. And I think that's exciting. It's all about connection, our connection to one another, our connection to a higher truth, and it's a truth that builds trust, and a truth that builds community, a truth that proclaims the dignity of every individual, a truth that affirms our own responsibility to advance the greater good, a truth that says that each of us makes a difference, each of us must try, and that God wants even the partial victories. And I thank you all so very, very much for coming to Baltimore, for giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts with you, and I thank you most importantly for the great work you do at home. Thanks a lot. Show me my house.
Thank you.